in the data here. If we wanted to quality check it, we could go ahead and use the labeling feature, because now the management status and unit ID is stored in the attribute table. So all I do is select my deadman MU. So make sure your deadman MU file here, or polygon feature here, is selected. Go to labeling, and the first class we'd want to label would be the unit ID. So I'd hit the label. And all that does is my little letter for the unit ID shows up in each polygon to let me know whether or not I got it correct. And if I wanted to, I could add, we'll just call it class 2. I could add a second label that would show me the management status. And now B42 shows that I entered the attribute information incorrectly for B42. This is just kind of a way of double checking your work. So the label doesn't have to be on the layout. It's just quality check tool for you to know about. The next thing we want to do is we need to figure out what these management statuses mean actually. So what I need now is I need that status exp table, which is in the lab 8 data folder geodatabase. Now I accidentally lost that in between our last video and this one, so I'm going to add a folder connection to the N drive, and I'm going to find that lab 8 folder once again. Hopefully you didn't lose it like I did. And lab 8 data. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Make that folder connection. Uh-oh. Something's happening. Oh, it's just being really weird, I guess. Some things don't change. So inside of this mu-data-lab8 geodatabase is the status exp table. So I'm just going to move this geodatabase into my folder again, because again, I accidentally lost it. I'll get rid of my folder connection. Then I'm going to bring this status exp table over onto my map. Now I could use the map ribbon add data. I could also just select it. Since it's in my project folder here, I could just select it and drag it onto the map, and it shows up over here on the bottom. So if I look at my attribute table for deadman MU, I've got a few fields here that I know about. All right, they're all polygons. I have the shape, length, and area, and then we have these two fields that we created, unit ID and management status. Now let's open up the status exp table. So that one has an object ID, of course. It has management status, and then it tells us what each management status means. So now when I look at B42, I know that B is just the name of that polygon area. 42 means that it's low activity. Or D43, 43 is inactive forest. So for this particular assignment, I believe, for the layout you're supposed to create a layout that shows what each of these different management statuses mean. So what the status of each polygon is. So to do that, to connect these two, we're going to have to run a join. And it looks like our only join field, the only field that's in common, is going to be management status. Of course, they both have object ID, but that is never the join field that you want to do. So I'm going to make deadman MU the parent. This is going to be a many to one because I have many polygons, but there's only a few different management statuses. So I'm going to go ahead and do a join between deadman MU, and I want it to connect to my status exp table. Arc already understood that, and it already figured out that the input join field, i.e. the only field that's in common, is going to be management status. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and Arc creates that join. So now beside each polygon, depending on what the management status is, I can see the description of that status. So now A through Q each have a status description associated through this join in the actual in the attribute table now. So if I was working on a layout, for instance, I'm going to go ahead and clear my selections, and I wanted to see, kind of to visualize the management status for all these polygons, obviously I'd be going to look at the symbology here, and I'd want the symbology to relate to the management status. So I'm going to go to symbology. Single symbol means they all look the same. Let's do unique values. There's only a few values here. Now if you pick one of these random fields like FID dead man box, you're not going to get much. But if I did management status, all of a sudden, each polygon with the same management status would have the same color. However, if you look over here in the legend, that's not very informative. Now, if I remember correctly, each management status, and I can check in this status EXP table, each management status only goes to one description. So what if instead of management status as the field, I use status description? So if I go into Symbology and instead of management status I use status description, all of a sudden each polygon that has the same management status still has the same color corresponding to that status, but my legend is pretty much built out for me. And if I look down here, it gives me this all other values. Turns out there aren't any gray values on here. So I could probably right click this and just remove the all other values, and that would get it out of my legend as well. And so now when I'm making my layout, let's see here, I don't really need the hill shade or the topographic layer, but I can make a new layout, and when I bring in the legend, it's going to bring in this status description information. So the legend will say, all right, blue means an active forest, and I'll know that light blue means that all of these polygons are an active forest, or green means high activity. And that is how you would go about kind of making the layout once you've digitized the management units for the Dead Man Park Quad. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out. Let's see here. Did I miss anything? Oh, it looks like the one thing that I did miss is the assignment does also ask you to make a good-looking report of the join that you created. So all that would mean is you'd go back into the attribute table after you've done the join, and you'd select all these files in here. So I just like to click a cell, and I'll hit Control A. That selects everything, and I can hit Copy. And then if I go over to Microsoft Excel and I make a new blank workbook, give a couple blank rows at the top that I can put my name and lab section in, maybe a title, and I hit Control V and paste. So I'd probably get rid of some of these columns that don't mean anything, like polygon. These two don't mean much either. I think Rocky might give you some information about what you need here, but don't need the second object ID, and I don't need a duplicate management status. But what you're supposed to do is make a good looking report. So, you know, get rid of underscores in your headings, make sure you give it a title, make sure you make it look nice and legible, adjust your column lengths or column widths as you need to. And then of course you're going to make this this layout here that shows what the management status for all the different Dead Man Park units are. And all those instructions are on the handout, of course. And once again, thanks for tuning in. Hope you all are doing all right. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.